Here's where we left off in the previous cloud conversation with Ericsson's Jason Hoffman.
Now, if you decide that you're going to go and instrument a bunch of stuff, and you're going to take the data set, drive it through an optimization process, and have it for the purpose of optimizing something, then there's a whole area in the automation space that's really being called post-optimization automation. Let's say you were using an application on your phone, and the developers of that application were constantly instrumenting how you use it. Right? That feeds into an optimization process where the point of that is to constantly ask, can we make the person do the things they want to do with that application on your phone in less steps? That triggers then a whole automation process that rewrites the application to actually give you less steps.
This is the 7th word in our series of concepts that make a successful company. We talked about the key words: interplay, continuous, distributed, and data-centric. Those work with the action words: instrument, optimize, automate. This conversation goes into the details on automate.
In a simple sense, if you're going and you're typically clicking on a link, 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 clicking on a thing you'd like to do, and the optimization system recognizes that everybody's doing that all the time, then the automation part of it is to give you one link to click. Right?
Right.
So
nice and simple.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that those things have to be discovered in an unbiased way from a large data set. And there's tons of room for improvement, clearly. I mean, when you have companies like Google, which are supposedly very good at doing data centers and the power footprint of their data centers and stuff like that, I mean, they took a very large data set around power utilization in their data centers, fed it through their own, deep learning-based optimization, sort of engine, if you will, and discovered another 40% in power savings. So somebody who's supposedly best in class in doing data centers found another 40% in power savings. Yeah. Just with one technique and one sort of thing from one data set. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And the whole promise of all of these technologies is to optimize and care for things, to figure out a way to optimize and care for things that were unanticipated by a human mind. So this idea that rather than shipping something where we manually determine what to measure, and then we manually determine what to automate, and then we manually write the code that automates it, and then we manually determine what use cases are appropriate, and then we manually write those use cases, and the end process is something we call more optimal. That you have to be very comfortable with the idea that you need to instrument everything you do in a very ideally unbiased way as possible. That feeds into an optimization process, which drives an automation process, and there's less and less sort of human bias and work in that end-to-end is very different than how most of us do things today.
And so we come full circle. For the complete summary of all 7 concepts, check out the podcast that started this series with Jason Hoffman.
We've covered the fact that all of this exists for the purposes of caring for data as children. And I think we're going to see these trends of this interplay and being continuous and being distributed and stuff pop up time and time again, from culture to technology to organizations to why we're doing this.
Thank you for listening to this podcast series from Ericsson. Bye for now.